Hi, it's Steve Estrada with Élevé Health. I'm in our showroom today. A couple of days ago, I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Tracy Darling of the Darling Center and her practice manager, Brian Isley. It was our first Zoom meeting. We talked about COVID-19, virtual medicine, and her membership program. Please check it out. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Okay, so this is Steve Estrada with Élevé Health. I'm the wellness director here, and this is another in the series of interviews that we do, although this one is going to be a virtual meeting through Zoom. And today we're meeting with Dr. Tracy Darling of the Darling Center in Laguna Beach, and we also have her practice manager, Brian Isley, on the line with us. And I wanted just to share the first time I got to meet Dr. Darling, we were at an open house for Mindy Kessler. She is a mutual friend, and she also is the lady that represents Designs for Health supplements. And Dr. Darling does have her products in her practice. And we got to talking, and we got into learning about her direct care model. And I thought it was very interesting because our company is getting into and expanding a corporate wellness program. And we thought there was some synergy between what we're doing and what you guys are doing. So we got to talking. I talked to Brian multiple times, and we started getting really excited about the beginning of the year starting and our programs beginning and some of your new programs beginning. And then COVID-19 happened. And so everybody shifted gears. So we want to talk about that today for sure. But I just wanted to begin with what I found on your website, something that really hit home for me. And I'm just going to read it. When you open up your website at thedarlingcenter.com, it says, the Darling Center for Holistic Wellness offers world-class medical treatments for the prevention of disease. Now, I love that because we're all about prevention over here. And obviously, reading that statement, you guys might be in the same world as well. What does that statement mean to you, and why did you put that as the first thing that you see when you open up your website?
Well, I've been doing natural medicine, holistic medicine, complementary medicine, whatever you want to call it, over the decades, for almost 30 years now. And, at first it seemed to be for the hippy-dippy types and the people who were sort of rebels of mainstream medicine. And a lot of us were kind of written off as kooks in the beginning. And as time goes on, of course, and more research shows that what we're doing is actually valid. Balancing biochemistry and finding the root cause of diseases instead of a pill for every symptom, like I was taught in medical school. Mm-hmm. As time goes on, we realize, this type of medicine is really being sought by everybody because they're seeing the fallacies in mainstream medicine and looking for a better way, something that involves fewer drugs and more natural treatments and just empowering people, giving them that knowledge back that they can read their own bodies and treat themselves if they're given the right tools. And so it's really world-class medical treatment it's a very high-class area right now because, whether you're affluent, whether you're a hippie living in a VW bus, everybody wants to be healthy naturally. Mm-hmm. And then realizing that's the best way to go. And so we want to make sure that people understand that it's available to everybody and it's really something that everyone should look at.
All right. Well, we agree for sure. I know that I study the subject, and I get to study the subject on a daily basis now because a lot of our products and our medical devices that we market and share with people do exactly what you're talking about in terms of just assisting the body and helping the body heal itself. These are just assists that we do, and what you're doing is really kind of determining what's going on, why is it going on, and then what we can do. So we're definitely on the same page. Now, COVID-19 has hit. It's changed the landscape of the entire world.
Absolutely.
And it is something that we are learning about on a daily basis. I know you guys are studying it extensively, and we're all trying to respond as individuals, but because we're in the businesses that we're in, obviously this has become not only life, but also our business. So it just in a general way, can you tell me, what your overall take is on the virus? How are you approaching it? I've got some specific questions, but I just want to get just in general, what's an overall feeling that you guys have about the virus?
Right. Well, I've been looking at the behavior of viruses for at least 25 years now, specifically in relation to how they affect populations and vaccine efficacy and that sort of thing. And, when this first started and we looked at people who were predicting what was going to happen, I predicted that this was going to look no more like a seasonal flu as far as death rates and that sort of thing goes. It was very politicized. And we can think of all sorts of reasons why that may have happened. We don't know what the truth is. But the bottom line is this is a politicized flu virus. And we're not seeing any higher death rates overall than a seasonal flu. And so we're looking more at the economic and emotional impact it's had on people. And so we did a webinar just a couple of weeks ago about that, about how to keep your immune system healthy and how to be healthy and prevent serious illness from this virus. But the real emphasis was on people's stress levels and how we're going to move forward into this new world, because it's definitely going to be changed after all this. This has turned everybody's lives upside down, and we have to kind of get our bearings again and figure out what the future holds for us.
Yeah, okay. I'm on the same page with you on that. Now, one of the things you talked a little bit about the politics of it. How have you observed how the government is handling things alongside the scientists that are also involved? Because they're working together. We can watch the daily briefings from the White House and all the experts that are talking. How do you think that's playing itself out with the governments and the scientists working together?
Well, I think the politics of how this is playing out, is definitely affecting people's opinions, and which media sources you look at and everything is going to determine what you believe, because the mainstream media and some alternative medias have completely different stories. And so, it's from what we've researched, we do believe this is a laboratory created virus that somehow escaped the lab in Wuhan and created this problem. But the extent of the response by our government officials, I think, has been extreme. And, looking into this, and I'm not the only one obviously doing that, looking into it, it does seem like there's a political agenda of some sort, economic agenda. They're looking at not starting things up until a vaccine is developed. And we're thinking, okay, what's this vaccine all about? Why is it so important? And, there are all sorts of, again, conspiracy theories, all sorts of things going around. We've got our own opinions about things, but we're sort of reserving final judgment because there's still so much investigation going on. But I think there is a really big political influence going on, which is the reason why we haven't opened up the economy again. There's no other excuse for why you would shut down a world economy for 2+ months and project that it may continue for months more. It's not sustainable.
Okay. Now, we've been asked to do a lot of new practices. The social distancing, we're wearing masks, we're doing a lot of things that we've never done before. What do you think about those things that we've heard most about? And then what are you advising your patients to do? Because you're working with your patients every day still, and this is a subject that you're dealing with. So what does that look like for you?
Number one, they've shown that people who wear masks touch their faces a lot more. They're using masks over and over without cleaning them or replacing them. And so they're keeping those germs on the mask itself. It's creating a lot of intimidation, which I think is huge. We've talked about vibration and emotion and how that affects our immune system. And there have been a lot of people, more advanced than I, who have said the stress level from the whole quarantine and the fear this has created is creating a much more negative impact and more susceptibility to the virus than it would be walking around outside without a mask. Similarly with gloves, I've told several of my patients, if they come in with rubber gloves on, they probably don't need them. And the reason is because gloves are being used incorrectly. And a perfect example that I shared with my patients is when we went to Costco the other day. And I was in the car and I was watching a woman come out with her groceries. She had her rubber gloves on. She adjusted her clothes. She touched her keys. She opened her car. She touched the inside of her car. She put her groceries in the trunk, took her gloves off, and then she touched her clothes, she touched her keys, she touched the inside of her car. What are the gloves really doing? Nothing, because she's touched everything that the cooties on her gloves touched. And so all this is just giving people this sense of protection that's really not there. It's creating, I think, a lot of fear.
Well, there is the emotional aspect of it. I know that I've had a few days where I felt kind of like, overwhelmed with what's going on. And because we are working with this illness in our business, we're doing COVID-19 testing. We have services, we have kits that we're making available, and we're also with the personal protection equipment that we're marketing, masks, gowns, gloves. Because our normal business has shifted gears, we're not able to do our normal business right now. So we've adjusted to do this. But you talk about the emotional aspect and maybe making people more vulnerable to the disease. Can you speak to that issue? Because I agree with you on that. If we're not strong emotionally and in our mind, we're more susceptible to catching viruses and things that aren't good for us. Can you speak to that?
Correct. Yeah. So, the idea of fear and intimidation, we have actually shown that those negative type emotions, as we call them, do suppress immune function. And so they could potentially increase susceptibility to becoming very ill with this virus, as opposed to just having a regular flu like most people are expected to have. And so the fear and intimidation, and they've already shown this in some numbers that we're looking at now, that they have shown through even Facebook, who can track us on our computers and where we are. They had an announcement earlier this week that they have tracked numerous people and found that people who are actually quarantining and staying at home are more likely to get sick than those who are outside walking around, getting sunshine, trying to live their lives and not let the stress of this really get to them.
Yeah.
So that's been a really interesting thing to look at.
Same thing.
Yeah. And, we put out an email not too long ago about how to live a healthy and happy life. And part of it was get outside and get sunshine, because that's vitamin D. It helps improve the serotonin in your brain, which is naturally antidepressant. It's fresh air instead of sitting in the stagnant air in your home. People who are at home and stressed tend to eat more junk food, drink more alcohol, use more recreational drugs. And there's already been shown an increased suicide rate, increased domestic abuse rates, numerous things that are a result of quarantining and being in fear instead of living their lives and moving forward and just going through this the best we can and keeping the immune system strong in other ways.
Gotcha. I agree with what you're saying there. Now, I'm asking you to kind of maybe predict a little bit here, but as all these things are developing and you're aware of what's new on a daily basis, how do you think this is all going to play out going into, the rest of this year and entering 2021? What do you think that's going to look like if you could make a best guess?
Well, short term, as we open things up, we're going to probably see a surge in infection rates again, because quarantining really doesn't prevent incidences. It just drags it out for a longer period. And that's certainly been shown in virus research as well. Yeah. So we're going to see a big jump, especially California. We were the first state to quarantine. Whereas we look at other states who didn't quarantine, they're not going to see that rise, because they have been going about doing their normal things and letting this virus run its course, as every flu and cold virus has to. Going forward, I think, again, the health impact is not going to bear out as much as the economic and emotional impact is. Our economy is going to take a long time to recover, and I don't think the world's ever going to be the same. And the webinar we did a couple of weeks ago, we titled it, How to Stay Happy and Healthy in a Changing World, and talking about how to raise your vibration, how to stay healthy, how to emotionally and economically deal with the impact of this. And a lot of it is just about keeping your vibration high. We are all about meditation and visualization, and we've been doing a lot of work visualizing the new world ahead of us. And it's been really interesting to see the effects of that. For instance, in March, when the quarantine first happened, we were still fairly busy because people were coming in for vitamin C IVs and asking for advice on the phone about how to deal with things and just taking care of their normal health issues. In April, the phone stopped ringing. Everybody was afraid to do anything. And I think there was so much stress over, oh my gosh, we've got to do another month of this, that we really weren't hearing from people. And then through all this meditation and visualization we've been doing, for the past week, the phones have been ringing off the hook now, and people are finally realizing, okay, I have to live my life. I have to take care of myself. And so people have been putting it off. And I have friends who are emergency room doctors who have said the same thing. The ERs are dead. There's hardly anybody in ICU. They're not seeing the numbers that have been reported, and people actually aren't coming in when they should. So they're having a heart attack at home, and they're coming in either dead or in bad shape because they didn't come in soon enough because of the fear.
Wow. That sounds terrible. I've read a lot of what you're saying, and I tend to agree with that take on the situation. Now, at our company, we market a variety of products that, like I said before, work with the body's own ability to heal itself. We're basically assisting the immune system with hyperbaricoxygentherapy, light therapy, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and those type of products. We know that if we boost our immune system, it gives us a great advantage of dealing with all sorts of health threats, but specifically the COVID-19 virus. Can you talk a little bit about what someone, just an average person, living their lives, can do to help their immune system become stronger to maybe fight this sort of thing, just with some good practices in terms of what you would advise someone to do?
Absolutely. As far as supplementation goes, the first things I recommend people are high-dose vitamin C and vitamin D, because those things are very protective against viruses. And I've seen many times over the 25 plus years I've been doing this, just simply giving somebody a vitamin C IV can wipe out a virus in a couple of days. So those are always good ideas. And then there are other things you can do to boost your immune system, like taking functional mushrooms, immune boosting herbs like echinacea and elderberry, and just keeping a diet that keeps your immune system strong too, which is avoiding sugar, alcohol, processed food, that sort of thing that a lot of people are inclined to do when they're stressed. And then exercise is very important to keep the immune system strong, the adrenals strong, which are all about our stress response. And some of the modalities you offer are great. Hyperbaric oxygen, infrared sauna could be invaluable during this time because the virus has been shown to be heat sensitive. And that's why we're not seeing as many cases in the South American countries and the warmer areas in the world.
Okay, the tropical areas.
So there's several things you can do to that end to strengthen your immune system and really reduce your risk of getting sick from this.
Yeah, cool. Now, in this new world that we're in, as we are right now, we're having a virtual meeting. We're not actually together, but we're doing this with technology. Now, you are working with your patients. I know you have patients coming in, but I also know that you guys were working on programs where you were going to offer more of this type of service to people, telemedicine, if you will. I also know that you guys were going to work on getting your membership program working, where you'd have a membership approach to healthcare, and you had different levels of service. I know Brian and I talked about this quite a bit when we first got to meet the first couple of times. Can you tell me how that maybe is playing into the current situation, but also how you're rolling it out going forward with the plans that you initially had, but now that you see this virtual need where maybe we're not face to face as much? How are you shifting gears with your practice and taking care of your community?
In Indiana, I saw my patients locally. I took over my dad's practice of over 3,000 patients. But when I moved back to California, I had a lot of my Indiana patients wanting to see me still. And so we worked on the phone and Skype and, all these things just kind of on the side. And so this is not really anything new to me. But as we develop more HIPAA compliant, video chatting and that sort of thing, it makes it a lot more practical and HIPAA compliant. And so we're seeing more and more of it. I also have several patients in San Diego, as I had a practice there briefly before I moved back to Laguna Beach, my hometown. And so it's really a huge part of my practice. So the shift has been very easy for us.
Great.
The membership model, of course, is a different subject that we just started at the end of last year. And we did it because we really wanted to look at getting people to understand prevention is better than treating once you get sick, which is the sick model of medicine now. And in order to do that, we came up with the membership model because that really helps people to be proactive. They're prepaying just like a gym membership, and so they feel like they're wasting it if they don't use it. And so they'll do the monthly coaching calls, they'll do the wellness visits, they'll do the preventive things, and they find if they just prevent, then the sickness takes care of itself. When I have people come in with cancer, for instance, I don't treat their cancer. I'm not an oncologist. I'm treating the nutritional deficiencies. I'm treating the stress. I'm treating the immune system abnormalities that cause the cancer. So we're treating the cause. And that's really what this membership model supports, is constantly treating the cause, because our bodies are always in motion, always dynamic. Everything changes. Check those vitamin levels every year because they're going to change. And really help people get an idea and a handle on preventive wellness and how much more valuable that is.
So we implemented the membership model about 6 months ago. And what we have found is that the usage of our services with our members has escalated. So they're more willing to come in because they know that they've paid X number of dollars per month and they want to utilize all their services. So we're actually seeing those folks taking advantage of becoming more healthy. And that's really an important piece of why we did it. Because when you are a direct care provider and you're not taking insurance and people are paying cash, they tend to not come in because they don't want to spend the money.
Right.
But when they know that they can come in and they walk out without a bill, they come in a lot. Like, we offer the vitamin C IVs as part of the membership program. We have done so many vitamin C IVs in the last couple of months. We ran out of vitamin C for 3 weeks.
Wow.
We couldn't get it.
Wow.
Because it was just a shortage. And it's just amazing to see how many of our patients, so pretty much every new patient that comes in subscribes. And our older patients that have been with us for a longer period of time, we're starting to convert them as well. So it's really exciting because they're excited. They like the idea of just paying a flat fee per month and they get all of these services for it. And they feel like they have direct access to our team because they have unlimited messaging capability. They don't have to worry about, I've got to make an appointment. I can actually message my doctor and she'll respond back. And I don't have to worry about being charged $75 or $100 or whatever it is. They get full access. And that's the way the medical business is going. I think you're going to see more and more medical practices starting to do this. And, again, because we're focused on wellness, we want our patients to come in. We don't want them to sit back and wait until they're sick. We want them to come in and be proactive.
Right.
And it works. And
it
you're
makes
seeing
sense.
that over and over again.
Basically responding to your program with more, awareness of their own health. And they're coming more than they ever would have come before. And being around, your team, with your team of medical professionals, you would think of it in kind of like in terms of maybe a gym situation. Now, not everyone uses their gym memberships. There's a lot of folks that have a gym membership. They don't use the gym membership. But with your membership program, it almost motivates and inspires your patients to come see the doctor. And obviously, when they're around you guys on a regular basis, they're going to have so much more care available to them simply because you're going to be interacting with them. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How did that last protocol work out for you? Is it working? Is it not working? I agree with you. A lot of what I've studied and read says this is where the healthcare model is going, and it's focused on prevention, not sick care. So we're all about that here at Élevé Health for sure. No doubt.
What's cool about this is because we have the monthly membership revenue coming in, it allows us to provide more staff. And then we can so we do routine outreach to our patients. So instead of waiting for them to call us, they get a phone call from our staff. Hey, how are things going? Like when they come in as a new patient, for example, the next week, our nurse practitioner picks up the phone and calls them and said, how did your first meeting go with Dr. Darling?
There you go.
Do you have any questions? Now, how many general practitioners have people calling out a week after their session with their doctor saying, do you have any questions? Did you like what happened?
They don't.
That doesn't happen.
No, that doesn't happen.
And that's what this model allows us to do.
Yeah, that sounds really terrific. I'm thinking right now about your practice, people coming in. What do you require of your patients coming in terms of social distancing? Are they wearing masks? What are you guys asking folks to do? Because you're a doctor's office. I see your faces there. Something interesting's coming. Tell me what you guys are asking folks to do or not do.
So personally, I've thought social distancing, first of all, is a very derogatory term because it implies we don't want to socialize, which is very inhuman and has again created a lot of stress and anxiety with people. So we have not been a huge fan of social distancing, although when we're out and about, we do to, make everybody else feel comfortable. But I don't think it's helpful. I don't think that, not being near somebody is going to infect us any more than touching something at the grocery store that they just touched 5 minutes ago and we just didn't know about it. So I think it's silly, to be honest with you. And I already kind of covered the idea of masks and gloves being a false sense of security, mostly because they're not used properly. So at the risk of getting in trouble, we are not requiring masks, we are not requiring gloves, and we are letting people, as well as ourselves, take responsibility for our own risk, which means if they want to hug us, they're going to hug us. If they want to shake our hand, we're going to shake their hand.
Wow.
We have been very vigilant about hand washing. We've always been very vigilant about keeping the office clean and disinfected. We're only having one patient at a time come in and cleaning in between.
Oh, okay.
And, using reasonable measures like that.
I'm really glad that we got to have you guys online to share what's going on there in Laguna Beach. Because it is as important a story as what's happening in Irvine or West Covina, where my mom lives, or anywhere else in the world for that matter. We're just about wrapping up in terms of time here. I wanted to know how you guys get in contact, how we get in contact with you. Like, how do people reach out to you? I think that when people get a chance to see this, they're going to be interested and curious about what you do. And they might like it.
I know my take on things is quite a bit different than a lot of other doctors, and I've kind of prided myself on that. I like to be cutting edge and really call the baloney when it's baloney instead of being politically correct. We can be reached most easily on our website, thedarlingcenter.com. From there, we can be emailed. Our phone numbers and everything are available. Our phone number is 949-610-9950. And if you Google the Darling Center or Dr. Darling in Laguna Beach, I'm usually the first website that pops up.
Okay, terrific, terrific. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to share as we wrap this up?
Okay. No, I think that Doc has said just about everything that could possibly be said. But, the one thing that I did want to kind of elaborate on for just a second.
We offer very cutting edge technologies. So for example, we are doing genetic testing to look at how it affects your functional health. We're doing neurotransmitter testing to also look at how it affects your functional health. So how does your body actually work? And then we do some very in-depth micronutrient analysis where we're looking at your nutritional levels on the cellular level, not on the serum level, but on the cellular level. And then we also are doing a lot of stem cell technology. So IV stem cells as well as the stem cell injections. And that's very cutting edge. And we're also doing some really cool stuff with PRP, which is hair regrowth and all sorts of things. So we're doing things that a lot of the doctors aren't doing yet because we're out there looking every day for new technologies that allow us to make our patients more healthy.
Nice, nice. I like it, guys. Hey, I really appreciate you guys making this time for us. You're our inaugural virtual Zoom meeting interview. And thanks a lot. And I love what you guys are doing. We'll be talking some more for sure. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for allowing us. And thank you for allowing us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, take care.
Until next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Take care.